Welcome back to the King Films College Basketball Weekend Predictions and Betting Luck Show. Let's get into the recap of last week. So we had a great week going 4-3 in the lock, so earning another unit, and going 12-5 in games. That is our best week yet. We've had 5 losses each week. So we're looking to expand upon this success this week. That brings our totals to locks 11-8-1, up 3 units as I mentioned, and games 31-15, so over that 2/3 mark. Moving on to my 8 locks, we've got Virginia Tech ranked against Syracuse. Syracuse does not have many good wins, and I just don't think they're a very good basketball team, whereas Virginia Tech has good wins over Villanova, Clemson, and Duke, and a close loss to Louisville. Give me Virginia Tech +2 to cover and win this game. I think it's preposterous that they aren't a favorite here, even though they are on the road in a traditionally tough environment at the Carrier Dome. In the next game, we've got Florida against Georgia, and I just don't see Georgia as being that good of a team. They have a great record, but most of that was carried by out-of-conference group of 5 wins that just are not that good. Georgia does not have any good wins, and I don't think they're a very good team either, similar to Syracuse. So I've got Florida, who's got Trey Mann, is an excellent player for this team, and they don't even have Keontae Johnson yet. If they ever get him back, this Florida team is going to be one you do not want to mess with. They've got good wins over LSU and are coming off a great win over Tennessee. Give me the Gators to hammer the 5-point spread and win the game, of course. Next, we've got SMU and UCF. So SMU has good wins over Dayton and East Carolina. They're coming off a COVID pause, and UCF just lost to Houston. They have a win over FSU, but they were a decent team and declined, and they haven't won in a while. So neither of these teams are particularly appetizing, but I know that SMU, just off the eye test, is the better team here, and I have them covering the 2.5-point spread as well as winning. In our biggest underdog of the week, we've got Georgia Tech covering the 9-point spread and winning the game over Virginia. Virginia still does not have very many good wins. They just beat Clemson. In fact, they blew the doors off Clemson. But then Georgia Tech comes back later in the week and does the same thing, bolstering both of these teams' playoff resumes for the tournament. But I still don't think that Virginia's that good. Definitely not good enough to have to cover 9 points here. And they do have Kie Clark, they've got Huff, they've got Hauser. Those guys are all good for double digits, but give me Georgia Tech, a team that's also just as hot right now, to beat the Cavaliers. In our next look, we've got Duke against Louisville, and Duke is a team in a downward spiral, but so is Louisville. Both of these teams need a win in the worst way, and the loser is going to have a hard time making the tournament, to be frank. Louisville at least has a resume of some sort with wins over Seton Hall, Western Kentucky, Pitt, and Virginia Tech, whereas Duke does not have any. They just lost to Pitt. Duke did. They have Matthew Hurt, Stewart, and Johnson, and at least they got some of those guys healthy, so they might be favored in this game. But Louisville at home, give me the Cardinal. They also need a win, and I think they're going to get one. Next, we have Pittsburgh and Wake Forest, and Pitt is another hot team right now, and they have wins over Duke and Northwestern, and Champagne is the second leading ACC scorer, showed out against Duke, and I think he'll do it again here, as he usually does. He averages almost 20 points a game. Wake Forest, as we've said before, when they were 3-0, they're not good. They still aren't good. Pitt to cover the 3-point spread here. Next, we've got LSU, who has a good offense, but got the doors blown off by Alabama. They've rolled over most of the SEC competition, only losing to Florida and Alabama, and their out-of-conference loss coming to St. Louis to overtake this Kentucky team and win by 2 points. And this Kentucky team is just unpredictable. Not really any good wins for them. They can beat anyone, I feel like, on any night, since they're that young and they're that talented, but They just can't seem to put stuff together most times. Give me LSU to win and cover the 1.5 point spread. Due to the NCAA men's basketball schedule this week being skewed towards good games on Saturday, we will not have a 6 locks for Sunday, as there's only one ranked game and it may have been postponed out of the Big Ten. So we'll have a loaded slate on Saturday, and I'll predict 8 more games. So to start off, Kansas is a team in freefall. They've lost 2 straight times. They have good wins over Texas Tech, West Virginia, Creighton. That one doesn't look as good anymore, which I mentioned in my bracketology video. If you want to check out some of my bracketology predictions as of this Monday, click up in the top right, and stay tuned for another bracketology video coming soon. As I was saying, they also have a win over Oklahoma the first time, only by 4 points. They've got Agbaji, Wilson, and Braun, and as I mentioned, they've lost 2 straight games. They're in free fall, and they need this one in the worst way. Oklahoma, they have wins over TCU twice and West Virginia. Reeves and Manick are good for 30 a game, and I think Oklahoma's going to win this game. They barely lost before at Kansas, so this time at home, give me Oklahoma. In another one where the teams need a win is UConn and Creighton. UConn has wins over USC and Marquette. They're coming off a loss to St. John's this last week, and Creighton's coming off 2 straight losses, and in their resume they have close losses to Kansas and Marquette. Neither of those two are the ones that we are referring to in their 2-loss streak, but they do have wins over UConn, Xavier, Providence, Seton Hall, and a player is special on this team. His name is Mahogany. He's a great player, but give me UConn to win here. I don't really have any good reasons for either team winning this game, but give me UConn. I've watched the games. They have a better eye test at the moment. I've been saying that Creighton's overrated this whole time. Again, check out the bracketology video if you want more. Next, we've got a big one out of the Big Ten, Ohio State and Wisconsin. Ohio State really only has one good win at this point over Illinois. They have been good in Big Ten competition, but haven't really gotten to play the best opponents. Here's their chance, playing a good Wisconsin team with Trice, Potter, and Davidson, with wins over Louisville and Indiana. Wisconsin, I feel, isn't that good. They got the doors blown off by Michigan a few weeks back, and Indiana took them to double overtime. But now we're seeing that Indiana is actually a good team as they beat Iowa. So I think Wisconsin is pretty good. I think Ohio State is pretty good. And I think Ohio State's going to beat Wisconsin here. In the next game, we've already referred to Clemson's free fall right now, getting blown out by almost 20 in the last 2 games to decent opponents at best. They have wins over Purdue, Alabama, and Florida State the first time they played, of course, at Clemson. But they have not found their defense. They've given up almost 90 points a game in these last 2 games, whereas before they were the best defense in the ACC. They need to locate their defense somewhere, and to my knowledge, I think all of their players are playing. They're just bad out of this COVID pause. I kind of feel bad for them because they were rolling going into it. They still have a great resume, but they've dropped about 3 to 4 seed lines just in this last week. So FSU has wins over Florida, Indiana, and Georgia Tech, and Louisville. So this is a great team too in terms of resume. So not a good stretch for Clemson here in terms of strength of schedule. And they are one of the hottest teams in the nation, along with Alabama, who we'll get to in a couple. So give me Florida State to win this one, and it could be decisive if Clemson can't find their compass to defense. Next, we've got Missouri and Tennessee, and 2 of the 3 top teams in the SEC face off here. Tennessee won the first bout. Missouri has good wins over Illinois, Oregon, Wichita State, and Arkansas in SEC play. And then Tennessee has good wins over Missouri, Arkansas as well, and Colorado. They have Pons and Bailey, and Missouri is a good defensive team here. So that's why I think they're going to win. They lost the first one by a considerable margin, and this one is at the Rocky Top. But even though Tennessee is coming off a loss to Florida, I think Missouri is going to get it done. Mississippi State against Alabama. Alabama is just the hottest team in the nation right now. I'll be the first to say it. Put up 100 spot on LSU, a decent team, and Alabama has wins over Tennessee, Florida, Ole Miss, Providence, and LSU. A great tournament resume. They have 3 early losses, but those don't reflect how this team's playing right now. Mississippi State has good wins over Florida and Missouri, and they seem to play up to good SEC competition. That's why this isn't a lock, because the spread is pretty close. But they have also some bad SEC losses. So I feel that this one's either going to be a close Alabama win or a blowout, maybe 40 to 50 points, just because if Mississippi State plays like they do against the bad SEC teams, against a good Alabama team, it could get ugly early. Next, we've got Baylor, also one of the hottest teams in the nation, and Oklahoma State. Baylor has a great resume with wins over Texas Tech, Kansas, Illinois, and Oklahoma. MaCio Teague and Jared Butler are great. This team is top 5 in offense and defense. It's hard to beat them, and I don't think Oklahoma State's going to do it. Coming off a COVID pause of their own, they have wins over Kansas, Texas Tech, and Wichita State. Cunningham, of course, is good for almost 20 points a game and likely is a great player for this team, but I just don't think they're going to get it done against a great Baylor team that I still have as number 2 in the nation, but this could be the win that puts them over Gonzaga. Finally, we've got one out west. We've got UCLA and Stanford. UCLA is one of 2 ranked teams in the Pac-12. They have wins over Colorado and Arizona, and they have 5 to 6 double-digit scorers a night. One of them is injured for the season, so we'll consider it 5, so they can spread the ball around. But this team is not actually that good. They have close wins that I would argue they got bailed out in against Colorado, Utah, Washington, Arizona State that went to overtime that really they should have lost, and then Cal. This luck has to run out at some point. That's 6 games out of, I think, 7 or 8 right now in Pac-12 play that they've won in total that they've gotten bailed out in, and most of them are to bad teams, at least teams that Stanford is better than, as they have wins over a good Alabama team, granted it was earlier in the season, and Arizona. They've got De Silva, Davis, Williams, and Wills. Those guys are all good for 10 a game as well, so they can spread it out. And they're coming off 2 straight losses to the Pac-12 Mountain teams, so they're hungry themselves. That concludes my weekend picks for the NCAA men's season. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.